In recent years, AI development has speed up so much that it's hard to keep up with all the updates. ChatGPT, Gemini, GitHub Copilot, and Microsoft Copilot are just drops in the ocean. To keep up, Snowflake released its own Copilot, and I must say it looks very promising. In this video, you'll learn what Copilot is if you haven't tried it yet. I will also show you 4 problems that Snowflake's Copilot solves, while other services like ChatGPT cannot, so you can speed up your work a little. Snowflake Copilot is like a virtual assistant about Snowflake. You ask, it answers. Simple as that. The accuracy and scope of the answers are constantly growing. If the answer doesn't meet your expectations, try asking in a different way. It will, or at least it should, answer all your questions regarding Snowflake's ecosystem, functions, features, your data, and most important, SQL. If you are concerned about your data privacy, don't worry, it doesn't have direct access to your data, at least for now. It works based on schema names, table names, descriptions, column names to get needed informations. By the way, at the time of recording, it's a still preview feature, so the details of its working will change and improve in the future. Imagine you have a query with tens of joins, multiple CTEs, and a lot of different conditional statements. Sounds familiar? Queries like this usually take a long time to process, so our job is to optimize it a little. You can spend hours understanding the logic behind it or use ChatGPT while lying on a beach drinking a pina colada. Oh wait, you cannot do that. Technically you can, but your company will hunt you down, put you in jail, and your career is over. But seriously, your SQL may and most likely will contain sensitive information. You would need to change table names, column names, and conditional statements only to anonymize your SQL. After that, you would need to decode it back to realize it doesn't make much sense because ChatGPT is not designed for SQL. And that's only if your company allows you to use ChatGPT in that way, which we know they usually don't. So to keep up your SQL code inside Snowflake, you can use Copilot for optimizing your query. Just type optimize this query with your code and voila! It will also propose Snowflake's built-in functions optimized for certain operations, simplifying your query even more. One day, your client is asking you to find a particular dataset in the tables. But what if you have few hundred tables? Obviously, you won't know all of them. What about documentation then? There should be some with descriptions of tables and columns that could help. But let's get back into reality. Tables are constantly changing, so having all fields and tables well documented is not common, especially if needed data sets are stored in different tables. I believe we can all agree that documentation is sometimes a little forgotten. Well, what else we could do then? You could ask Copilot to find that data for you. It will give the answer based on schema, table names, and as we previously said, column names and descriptions. Even if the answer is not accurate, it can be a good starting point to look further instead of trying to find it without any clue. If you are a data engineer, you get a lot of tasks like building data pipelines, create views, tables, and many others. As almost everything you need is provided by the Snowflake platform and handled by SQL, what if you could just ask Copilot to prepare a particular workflow based on requirements? Well, unfortunately, at the time of recording this video, creating whole data flows like pipes, stages, and tasks with Copilot is not possible. Maybe that's good, because otherwise we would be gone already. Anyway, you can still generate SQL queries, that's why it was built, by the way. So if you need to build a more complex query, which contains a lot of joins and conditional statements, like those used in the metrics, you can ask Copilot to generate this query for you based on the requirements. Even if it's not 100% correct, which is fine, it will generate code based on the actual tables, the actual schema, your actual data set. So you can treat it as a starting template. There will be some parts which you would need to change, but the core query should be more or less correct, let's say that way. Eventually, you can still save a lot of time, but by not building your query from scratch. Imagine you work as a data analyst and need to prepare a dashboard for your client. You know the logic that needs to be applied, but you don't really understand the underlying data in a particular tables, how to join them together, or if it's even possible. On top of that, you realize there is no documentation and stakeholders won't be able to help much, because that's your job. Have you ever experienced a situation like this? Well, you could try figuring it out on your own by going through the data, or, as we said, as always, use Snowflake's Copilot to give you some insights as a starting point. Besides a brief description of a particular tables and columns, you can use it to find how to join tables together and what insights you can potentially get. Just simply ask how to join these tables, or what business insights can I get from these tables, and you will receive a hint to dig in further. And who knows, maybe it will be even correct. Besides all that, Snowflake Copilot is a helpful tool that answers your questions about Snowflake. It's like having a knowledgeable? Well, let's say smart. Let's say smart friend who always has the answer. And if you want to understand some basic concepts like data warehousing, storage, or cloud compute, you will get an answer about how it works in Snowflake, with a direct link to documentation. It's built on top of Snowflake Documentation, so it may be quicker to just ask Copilot than to search on your own, especially when you want to compare different features like dynamic tables and materialized views, let's say. I hope that makes sense for you. In these examples, I've tried to show you different perspectives of resolving problems, so professions like data engineers, data ops, and data analysts can benefit. And if you are still wondering if AI will take your job, well, just enter a prompt and find out. If you know other use cases Copilot, please let me know in the comments below, and don't blindly follow every advice you get from AI, because it's not an oracle. Of course, not this oracle. You know what I mean. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Ciao.